evening, everybody. We're live in the Fix the Motor Chaos show, and I got on the phone the grandson of the legendary Mike Minick. Mike Minick. How are you, Mike? Pretty good. So Mike, you're driving the Tri-Town up, and you took over from Troy Mountain, correct?
Yeah, well, Troy still drives it. He's kind of supposed to drive it too, but yeah, was nice enough to let me get my license in the car about 5 years ago, and kind of shared the driver duties ever since then. I drive it. We have 2 bodies for the car. We have the Chi-Town body, and then we have a fuel altered body. Troy usually drives the altered body, and then I drive the one that's got the funny car body on it.
Okay. So 5 years ago, you got to
Yeah, we about 6 months for me to get it total. You know, we turned it pretty slow, and I ended up finishing up at East Canada, I think it was October 2011, and took over driving the next year. Just at the final moment, I've always, I've been around the sport since, I was really little, I always had it in the back of my mind that I would like to give it a try. One day Troy came up to me, offered to give me a chance to drive it, so, I wasn't going to be foolish enough to turn him down, so he offered it up and I took it. My first time on the track was actually at a little racetrack right up there in Rockville, Illinois, called Byron. And, I was really nervous, as I'm sure everybody else was. First time I've ever driven a car. And, it was actually the one thing that I remember most about that ride. I was nervous enough as it was. And actually, right after they started the car, they were getting ready to lower the body so I could do my burnout. They shut me off on the starting line because there was a prop in the shutdown area, and that just kind of made me more nervous. But eventually, got to make my first run and kind of got the first run jitters out of the way and got to focus more on trying to finish up my license.
That's cool. What was the first car you drove?
This is actually the only car I've ever driven is a Nitro Funny car.
So that was your
it's the only race car I've ever driven.
So Byron racetrack was the first time with Chi-Town All-Star?
What's that?
So Byron was the first time with Chi-Town All-Star?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the only car I've ever driven, I was one other time, a friend of mine asked me to substitute and drive his car a few years ago, but other than that, the only car I've ever driven is a Chi-Town All-Star.
Well, so what was the other car you substituted for?
It was a guy out of Ohio. His name was Wayne Mellinger, and he had injured himself in a work accident, so he couldn't drive his car, so he called me up. It was just a one-weekend deal. We did a match race up in Martin, Michigan, and it was just a one-weekend deal. He needed somebody to help him out, so I had a friend of mine who was on his crew, gave him my number, and he was nice enough to call me and let me drive for him.
So how does it feel trying to live up to your grandpa's reputation?
It's a challenge at times. Obviously, I'll probably never be as good as he was, just because it was a different era when he was driving. But I try to do my own thing, kind of try to make a name for myself, while also trying to live up to the precedent that he set, which is pretty steep. But it's good because it gives me a goal to kind of keep my sights on. So it's a good thing. We get people coming up to me all the time wanting to talk about how many times they watched him race throughout the years, and I love hearing those stories because unfortunately I wasn't around when he was driving. He quit driving about 15 years before I was born, so I never got to see him race. But like I said, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I got to see your grandpa plenty of times when my dad used to take me all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah. All the tracks around here, everybody's got stories about him.
So I saw one of your latest videos. You got a smoky burnout down. You got that?
Yeah, that was at I think the one you're talking about is the one we just did at Route 66.
Yeah, that's the one.
A few weeks ago. They did a little tribute to my grandfather who passed away in January. They did a little tribute for him, and they were part of the tribute was us getting to make a run, so I had to make sure I laid down a good burnout for him.
Yeah, we've had Troy on the show a couple of times. I think I told Troy one time, you need to get the burnouts longer and more smoky for the Chi-Town Hustler.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's a lot harder to do burnouts these days than it was back before the advent of traction compound and concrete racetracks, and the tire technology too has come a long way in the last 50 years. So, unfortunately, it's a little harder to get the smoky burnouts, and it's a little harder on the motor too.
So how old are you now?
I am 31.
And you've been racing for only 5 years?
I've only been driving for 5 years, but I've been racing for my entire life. There's pictures of me, cleaning parts, when I was 4 years old. So I've always been around the sport. It was just mainly as a crew guy up until about 2011. Then I started driving.
Did you do street racing before this?
No, I was never really into that. I was born and raised around a drag strip, and I always thought that's where you race. You race at the racetrack, not on the street.
Okay.
Yeah, have you ever drove bracket cars?
I drove my cousin's Super Comp car a couple of times. It wasn't competitively. It was just kind of trying to get the feel of what it was like to be in a racetrack. I made three single laps out at Route 66. It was before I ever got in a funny car. But that's the only experience I ever had in any kind of a bracket car.
Okay.
So would you ever get behind the wheel of a Pro Mod?
If the opportunity came around, I probably would. But I gotta say, a Pro Mod is probably, from my vantage point, one of the scariest of any type of race car. A car that has that kind of power on it, and and suspended on all four wheels. I'm sure it's a wild ride, and I would probably get behind the wheel if I got the opportunity. But Pro Mod's a different kind of beast from what I'm used to.
Yeah, and then you being with your grandpa, the legend, you probably want to stay around nitromethane.
Yeah, I'm a nitro snob. I was born and raised around it, and once you get hooked on nitro, there's really no going to anything else.
So would you ever drive a dragster?
Yeah, I would get in a dragster if I had the chance. I prefer funny cars because that's it's what I was born and raised around. That's what the family made their name in. But yeah, if I had the opportunity to drive a dragster, I would.
So what funny car drivers out there these days inspire you?
Obviously, anybody that's been around the sport long enough, they'll tell you John Forrest. But I look at guys like Del Worsham and Tim Wilkerson. Guys that, they're good drivers, but aside from being drivers, they also work on the cars and they tune their own cars. They'll drive their truck and trailer if they have to. They'll, kind of do whatever it takes to get to the racetrack kind of mentality. And those are the kind of guys that I was always, raised around. Those are the guys that I hung out with. But, the guys that I worked for were those kind of guys. So I always got kind of a soft spot for the guys that don't just drive, but they do all the other stuff too.
Right. Do you do work on the car?
Yeah, I won't. I don't think I could ever be one of those guys that just shows up at the racetrack just to drive the car because, I spent so many years as a crewman. I know what it takes to get the car ready, and I know what it takes. I know how much effort it takes to get the car, prepared the right way. And I would feel guilty if I left that all up to somebody else. I'd rather be a part of it.
So, Mike, you like to get down and dirty with the car, huh?
Oh yeah, I do the bottom end on Troy's car. As soon as the car's back and it's up on jack stands, I take my fire suit off and dive underneath the motor.
Oh yeah, you gotta get the tuning in.
Yep, that's my spot.
Yep. Okay. Hold on, Mike. Continue.
So right now, how many crew members are there for the Chi-Town Hustler?
There's 5 of us. There's Troy and myself, and then we have Ken Cotis, Dan Brown, and Tom Gray. Those are our core 5 guys. Every once in a while, we'll have a few other guys that that come and go, but those are the 5 that are pretty much at every race. And we've been lucky. We've had that same 5 guys together for the last 7 or 8 years, and that's been a big part of how successful we've been with the car. We've been able to keep the same core group of guys together because, we all work well together. We all get along. We all gel pretty well. So that's a big part of having a successful operation, is having a good core set of guys, and we're lucky enough to have that with Troy's car.
Mike, do you have any kids?
I do not. I am single with no children.
Oh. Well, it's time to start popping out kids so they can follow your lead.
Yeah, well, maybe someday. Don't know if I'm quite ready for that yet.
Okay.
So, Mike, what's the quickest run time you've had with the Chi-Town Hustler?
562, 265 miles an hour.
Damn.
That's the quickest I've been.
That's fast.
Yeah, that was it's a fun ride, I can tell you.
You know that Wilmot little drag strip?
Which drag strip?
The Wilmot one. Where
Yeah.
Dirt funny cars go around?
That's not a drag race.
No, it's not a drag race, but is the dirt funny cars the dirt cars?
There's no funny car there.
Whatever they what are they called, Dave?
Sprint cars.
Sprint cars, yeah. You know the sprint cars?
No, funny cars stick to asphalt straightaways, no turns.
No, you know the sprint cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear them every freaking day.
Yeah. That's another form of racing that I enjoy. That's actually something that I would. That's probably another car that I would actually. That's probably the only circle track car that I would ever consider really getting into, because it's the only thing that interests me. Are sprint cars, dirt sprint cars. I've always liked them. Yeah.
They're like little go-karts.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Continue to. Where do you get your fire suit from?
Simpson. I have all my equipment except for my helmet came from Simpson.
Even your car parts?
No, that's just my safety gear.
So where do you get your car parts at?
We have a variety of different sources. There's so many different components that go into the engine that you can't get them all from one place. So a lot of the parts on the car though are actually takeoffs from the NHRA professionals, because they'll only put so many runs on a part, and then they'll get rid of it it's just as preventative maintenance. And since our car doesn't run as aggressively, doesn't run as hard as theirs do, we can run their used parts in our car, and it's good for both of us, because then they can sell them to us and make some of their money back, and they sell them to us at a cheaper rate than if we bought them new. So it kind of works out well for both of us.
Now, who sponsors you guys?
We have a lot of parts from John Force Racing, actually. Some of our parts have come from Don Schumacher Racing. Some of our parts have come from Steve Torrance Racing. It just kind of depends on who has what we're looking for.
Now, can you tell us a story about your recent weekend at the racetrack?
Well, my weekend at the racetrack usually starts early Saturday morning and ends late Saturday night. There's always something to be done, always something on the car that needs to be done. Most of our runs take place, between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock at night, because night racing is just better for our sport. It's got more fan appeal. So yeah, I'll usually be at the racetrack by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, depending on where we are. And like I said, get the car ready, make sure everything's ready, talk to the fans, talk to the fellow racers. I got a lot of friends at the racetrack, so my days at the racetrack tend to be pretty long.
Okay. Now, what's your racing schedule looking like for the rest of the year?
We're about halfway through our schedule. I think we had 9 events to go through this year. We've been to 4 of them. We have a date coming up in Martin, Michigan here, August 12th. And then we have the World Series of Drag Racing in Cordova, which is the week before Labor Day. Then the weekend of Labor Day will be in Grand Bend, Ontario, Canada. Then the week after Labor Day we'll be back in Martin, Michigan. And then 2 weeks after that we'll be in Milan, Michigan. So we got a fairly busy schedule coming up here over the next 7 weeks or so. We've got 5 events.
So where's your garage at for the Chi-Town Hustler?
Well, the car doesn't stay with me. The car stays with Troy. Troy lives in a town called Pierceton, Indiana, which is about 100 miles from from me. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. So Troy actually keeps the car in his shop at his house, which, like I said, is about 100 miles east of me.
So Troy's the owner of the Chi-Town Hustler?
Troy's the owner of the car, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your grandfather and you drove for Troy?
No.
No, when my grandfather was driving that car, he was one of three owners of that car. What happened is, my family owned the car until about 1989, when there were a few different reasons. We actually had to park the car, mostly financial reasons. Then in 2006, Troy actually did a recreation of one of our older cars, and we got in touch with him through that, and that's kind of how this came about. I've been working with Troy for about 11 years. I was one of his crewmen for four or 5 years before I started driving for him.
Now, what type of fuel does the car use?
Nitromethane. It's usually between 90 and 94% nitromethane.
Where do you guys get it from?
There's suppliers down in Indianapolis that sell it. So we just get it from them.
Do you want to give those suppliers shout-outs?
What's that?
Do you want to give those suppliers shout-outs?
Oh, we get it from Don Schumacher Racing. He's probably the biggest dealer of nitromethane in the Midwest. So that's where we get it from.
Now, during the races, you've been racing this car during the years. Have you had any accidents or anything like that?
Nothing major. Every once in a while you'll get a little wall scrape. Nothing major. Little wall scrape. Little, run over some timing cones or something. But cross our fingers and hope to keep it this way. We've never had anything big happen. Just minor stuff. Nothing we couldn't fix.
Well, you guys got to come to Great Lakes Dragway. I want to see you guys.
We would like to come back there. It's been a couple of years since we've been there. I think we were in talks with them. What we do is at the beginning of the year, January, February, Troy and me will start putting our feelers out to different tracks, seeing if they want to bring us in for a show, and start talking to some of the management there. And we'd be more than happy to go back there if they would have us.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool to see you guys there next year.
Yeah.
So now let's get into some fun questions. Okay, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food? Pizza. I'm a Chicago guy. I love my pizza.
Favorite Chicago restaurant for pizza?
Oh, there's a little place by my house called Salerno's. That's probably my favorite. It's not a chain. It's just a little kind of mom and pop type restaurant. That's probably my favorite.
I think I ate there before. Have you ever tried Uno's, the one in Schaumburg at Whitfield Mall? Yep.
I've had their deep dish before. It's pretty good. But I like my place by my house. It's my sentimental favorite.
Well, there's two places by my house that I like: Little Caesars and Walmart.
Okay.
Walmart got that $5 pizza.
Oh yeah, you can. Trust me, I've had plenty of them because you can't beat the price.
Oh, and their pizza's fucking good. Jeez Christ.
Hey.
And what's your favorite drink, non-alcoholic or alcoholic?
Probably non-alcoholic. I'm not much of a drinker anymore. I'm a pretty simple guy. I drink water all day.
That's cool. You don't like lemonade water or anything?
Nope. I'm kind of boring when it comes to my beverages. I drink water. Water and coffee are pretty much the only two things I drink all day. I'll have a drink every once in a while. I'm a vodka guy when it comes time to drink alcohol, but for the most part, it's just water or coffee for me.
Okay, in your point of terms, what's the best vodka for you?
My favorite vodka would probably be Tito's. That's my favorite.
I like Smirnoff.
Smirnoff's not bad, but I prefer Tito's.
That's cool. Now, what's your favorite vacation spot?
Oh, anywhere that's got a white sand beach and blue water. The Caribbean or Mexico, that's just fine with me. Anywhere that's got a beach with blue water and a chair that I can sit in, that's what I like to do on my vacations. Somewhere warm with a beach and an ocean. That's all I need.
Pensacola has white sand. Pensacola, Florida?
What's that?
Pensacola, Florida has white sand.
Yeah, and that's just fine with me. And like I said, I'm not picky. As long as it's warm and the sun's out and it's got nice sand and nice water. That's all I need.
Well, yeah, we go there a lot. I like Pensacola.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite music?
I'm, I'm pretty open when it comes to music. I'll listen to pretty much everything, but my favorite is probably classic rock.
Favorite artist?
I'm a fan of Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi, any of those guys. Anything from, the 70s or 80s. I can get into AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne.
Shot to the heart.
Yep.
Fucking Bon Jovi, man. Man, have you ever karaoke'd?
I have. Back in, actually, I've been known to when I have a few too many, cocktails in me, I will get up and sing.
Your liquid courage.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to do it when they're just drinking water, but spike the water a little bit. Now everybody wants to sing and dance.
Usually when I go karaoke, me and Dave, some people don't even drink. They just get up there and start singing like they're fucking professionals.
Well, see, most of the people that do that are better singers than I am.
Yeah, these motherfuckers sing like they're fucking professionals. I'm like, why aren't you in a band?
Yeah. See, I'm not very musically talented, so I need a little extra courage.
Okay. Now, tell me, do you have any other hobbies besides racing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sports, I'm a sports guy. When it comes, I like to play golf. I like to play hockey. I'll play a little basketball every now and then.
Do you have a favorite
anything that keeps me active.
Do you have a favorite baseball team?
White Sox. I was born and raised on the south side of the city. I'm a White Sox fan.
But what about the Cubs? Weren't you happy for the Cubs when they won last year?
Honestly, I didn't really have an opinion on it because I'm not a Cubs fan. I guess I was happy I have plenty of friends who are Cubs fans, and I was happy for them because I remember how it felt when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005 and how happy I was. So I was happy for them, but as far as the Cubs as a team, I didn't really care one way or the other because I'm just not a fan of them and never have been. But I was happy for my friends who are Cubs fans because, like I said, I remember how excited and how happy I was and how cool it was to be at the World Series parade when the White Sox won.
Well, all I know is I'm White Sox more, but Cubs won, so yeah, I got happy for them, really happy.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of people like that.
And I wouldn't even bought their championship hat and a shirt.
Yeah, see, I didn't go that far.
Well, I did.
I still have all my White Sox stuff, championship stuff, though.
I still have all my White Sox shit. Oh my god.
There you go.
Man, we were there at the 2005 though when they won.
Yep. I was in college when that happened. We actually came back to the parade.
I was actually 24 years old that year.
Yeah, I think I was 19. I think it was 2004. No, I was 18.
You're just a couple
2005. It was 2005, so I was 19.
You're just a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. So now, is there like a special sticker on your car that you love, the Chi-Town Hustler? What's your favorite sticker on that car?
My favorite sticker on there right now is probably the decal that we have. That's for my grandpa. We did a little memorial decal for him after he passed away, and we put that on the car. So that's probably it's not even really close. That's my favorite sticker on the car.
Now is this what you always dreamed to become? A drag race, a Chi-Town Hustler driver?
Yeah. I mean, when you're a little kid, and when I being a little kid, and I used to watch my dad. He was a driver too. I grew up watching him, and yeah, I mean, you always think, wow, it'd be really cool if one day I got to do it, and then it just kind of happened, and yeah, for sure, Troy fulfilled a lifelong dream of mine when he let me drive his car, and every time he lets me drive his car, he does. So it's pretty cool.
Now, if you could go back in time to change something from happening, what would you change for something from happening?
I don't know that I would change anything because I'm kind of happy with where I am. I'm kind of happy with the way things have worked out. My family's always been supportive of me, so I don't know that I would honestly change anything because I think where we're at is good. I think it's right where we want to be. It's right where we've tried to get for a lot of years. So I don't think there's anything I'd want to change.
Okay, hold on. I got a question that Dave's going to ask something. Okay, if you were given $15 million to build a track and design it, where would you pick a spot to build it and design it? Or would you upgrade a track?
That's a good question. I don't know. See, because obviously I'd want to pick something close to home, but obviously we already have Route 66 out there in Joliet. That's close. So what I would actually do is, what I would do is actually I would give my money to that racetrack and try to have some influence over the way they do things. Because that track is very successful, and I would like to see them continually be successful. So I would give it to them to try and give them more assets, try and make some upgrades to the facility. Not that it really needs any, because it's one of the nicest tracks I've ever been to, but that's probably what I would do, because that's my hometown track. I've probably lost count of the number of times that I've been to that racetrack, so that's probably what I would do.
But would you have them change the rules on some rules?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the way they run is pretty smooth, and they treat us extremely well. So,
but there's some rules that other drivers have complained about in the past.
Like what?
I don't know.
I mean, they've always been good to us. We're just there, so I don't have many bad words to say about the people at that racetrack.
I'm not saying it's a bad racetrack, but just they got like one or two rules doesn't.
I mean, the rules for our class are a little less strict than they are for other classes, because the combination that we run is kind of considered an outlaw combination. We just do exhibition shows. We're not really doing a competition eliminator or anything like that. We get booked into places to make 2 or 3 runs, and that's it. We're not really competing for money or anything. We get we have a set rate that we compete at, and we race against other guys. So we're mainly just doing match racing. We're not really competing in an elimination format.
Do you have any idea how your grandpa came up with the name Chi-Town Hustler?
He came up with it in the living room of the apartment he was living in at the time with my grandma and my dad and my aunt were there too. And it was their first, they had raced Super Stockers before. This was their first funny car, and he knew that, he had to come up with something catchy. I had to come up with something that they could market, because that was going to be part of the appeal of the car, was to have a marketable name associated with it that the tracks would want to, use to advertise their races. And actually, the first name he came up with wasn't Chi-Town Hustler. The first name was actually the Windy City Barracuda, because their first funny car was a 1967 Barracuda. But he came up with that name, and the reason he didn't use it is because he didn't want to limit himself to the kind of body that he would be able to use. Obviously, if you call the car the Windy City Barracuda, it always has to have a Barracuda body on it. So he went to Chi-Town Hustler, and that kind of freed him up to at least use different types of bodies.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So now, with you driving a Nostalgia Nitro Funny Car, would you consider, if someone asked you, would you drive a top fuel one?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I got the chance for somebody to drive a big show funny car, I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat.
Now, is your family involved in drag racing?
Yeah. My dad still comes to most of the races. Like I said, he used to be a driver. He used to be a crew guy. So he comes and helps us out. My brother actually works on a Top Fuel dragster. He works for Pat Dakin, who's a part-time Top Fuel racer out of Ohio. And he also works with Bobby and Dom Lagana on their Top Fuel cars. So he's heavily involved. I'm not alone when I say I was born and raised around the drag strip. It wasn't just me. It was me, my brother, both my sisters. My mom was always at the racetrack. My grandmother, my aunts, uncles. We're all involved in the sport.
Now, have you ever drove the fuel-altered car that Troy has when he changes the body over?
Yeah. It's the same chassis, same motor combination, everything. The only thing that changes is the body. I actually drove it. The body that we're running this year is actually brand new. We just finished it over the winter. I drove it back in May. We just did some testing with it just to make sure everything was good and fit on the car good. So I drove it a few times in May, yeah.
Now at the World Series, are you guys who you know who you're gonna match race against over there?
They're gonna have 4 cars. It's gonna be us, Doc Holliday, and then both of John Lawson's cars. So they're gonna have 4 nostalgia funny cars.
That should be a good time. It's good to see the World Series come back over here.
Yeah, I was happy when they moved it back to Cordova where it belongs. I was not a big fan of them moving it to Memphis. I didn't really support that, or I didn't support it at all, actually. It's been in Cordova over 60 years. That's where it belongs.
Right. I've never been to Cordova. I've never been to Byron yet either. So.
Yeah, well, you gotta come out. They're two. If you like Great Lakes Dragway, then you'll like Byron and you'll like Cordova because they have a very similar feel. They're all kind of old school tracks from the same era. They're fun. They're 3 places that I really enjoy going to.
Yeah. When I was a kid, like I was saying, my dad used to take me to Great Lakes Dragway and US 30 in Indiana.
Yeah. US 30 is one track I never got to go to. It actually closed the year before I was born.
Yeah. So are there any tracks out there in another state that you want to get to that you haven't been to yet?
2 that I haven't been to that I'd like to go to are Vandermeer Speedway, which is in Denver, and Sonoma in Northern California. There's not very many tracks out there that I haven't been to, especially if you go east of Mississippi. I've pretty much been to them all. But those are 2 out west that I would really like a chance to get to. And what I would really like to do is if I ever have a chance, is to get to the tracks in Australia, because I have friends of mine that have been down there to race, and they say the tracks down there are unbelievable. So that's probably the places that I would really like to go see other racetracks in Australia.
Yeah, I know Boz Young used to do some racing down there.
Yeah. And like I said, I got 3 or 4 friends that have been over there, and they say it's a lot of fun, and the tracks are incredible. So that's probably where I would really like to go. Right, with a lot of the places that I've never been that I would like to go to, Australia is probably at the top of the list.
Have you been to that 4-wide track?
I have. I've been there a number of times, actually. That's Route 66, Z-Max, where they have the 4-wide, and Norwalk, Ohio. They're probably the 3 nicest tracks you'll find anywhere. Just the amenities and the setup of them, you can't top them.
Yeah. So that you want to go over to the schedule again, so everybody can hear the schedule again for the rest of the year?
Sure. We'll be in Martin, Michigan on August 12th. We will be at the World Series Drag Racing, which is the weekend before Labor Day in Cordova, Illinois. Labor Day weekend, we will be at Grand Bend, Ontario, Canada. The weekend after Labor Day, September 8th, we'll be back in Martin, Michigan. And then September 23rd, we will be in Milan, Michigan. So those are the 5 races that we have left. If you want to come out and watch.
Now, if people want to look for you on the internet, I know you got the Facebook page, Chi-Town Hustler. Any other pages?
No, that's primarily what we use. We used to have our own web page, but it just kind of made more sense to just use the Facebook page. So yeah, if you don't already follow us on Facebook, go ahead and give us a follow. You have any questions? Me and Troy run that page, so we're both pretty good about answering any questions you might have. If you got any pictures of the car or anything you want to share, we love to see them. So, like I said, if you don't follow the page already, go ahead and give us a follow. We'd love to hear from you.
No Twitter or Instagram, huh?
I have a Twitter page, but I don't use it very much. And the Instagram stuff, we post. I thought about making an Instagram page for the car, but we post most of the pictures on Facebook anyways, so just kind of made more sense to use that way. I mean, anything that's posted on Instagram is on the Facebook page too, so it didn't make much sense to me to make both pages.
Right. So all you people out
there.
So
like I said, I have a Twitter page. If you guys want to follow me, just search my name, just search Mike Minick, and I'll pop up. But like I said, I don't use it terribly often. Every once in a while, I do more reading than posting than I do on Twitter. But if you want to give me a follow there too, that's fine.
Okay, everybody. So the best way to see the schedule for the Chi-Town Hustler is to go on the Facebook page, Chi-Town Hustler.
Yep, Facebook. It gets updated pretty much every day with either some new information, some new pictures, whatever we got. So, and like I said, you got any questions for us or anything you want to know? That's the best way to reach us.
Sounds good, Mike. So you have any last words for all the fans out there?
Just want to say that I appreciate all you guys. We can't do this without you. We need fan support. We need you out at the racetrack. We need you. We need you in the pit. In the pit area, coming over to say hello. Our sport is driven by spectators. So, we need you at the racetrack. We need you to come out. So, and if you're ever out at the racetrack, see the Chi-Town Hustler trailer, you come over and say hello.
Cool. Well, thanks for your time for the interview, Mike.
All right, Dave.
You have a good night.
You too. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.